We are back. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about Ronda Rousey, active shooters, and classes getting boring. See you in a minute. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Bill Jones, head instructor of top-level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. With me today, as always, my friend, my pal, my compadre, my comrade, co-host, slightly above novice in all things, Mr. Edward Whitney. Ed, how you doing?
Doing great, man.
All right.
Thrilled to be here.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, great topics. Have a good day.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for listening. We are out.
So we got a bunch of things to talk about today.
Yeah.
You know, a lot in the news, and kind of wanted to. I did a live video for anybody who's a friend of mine on the Facebooks. You know, I did a live video there about some active shooter stuff, and then, you know, we wanted to talk about what the Catholic. We don't want to talk about them. That's terrible. Not the Catholics are terrible, just that I'm a terrible Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah.
But the California Athletic Commission and all kinds of stuff. So what's on the top of the agenda, man? What do we got?
So John Jones' suspension finally came down yesterday.
Oh, what is it?
He was unable to convince the California Athletic Department that he did not knowingly take steroids. So they revoked his license, which sounds like a very powerful, you know, like they really stuck it to him. But he can reapply in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's basically out till August.
So he's out for like 6 months.
Yeah, and then also he still faces...
That's enough time to get another round of steroids in and then get back.
Yep. Get nice and jacked. But he still has to deal with USADA, which is the UFC's direct sanctioning body.
Yeah, but it sounds like that's not going to be as big an issue.
Yeah, they seem to kind of buy his story more than California did.
I don't.
I don't in the sense of his past history, but when you hear like experts that are like qualified to speak on it, talk about it, it really doesn't make sense. Like he would have gotten no benefit. You know what I mean? Like it was such a small amount, there would have been no physical benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I just don't have any love for the guy. I mean, no. This is one of those rare situations where I'm in awe of his ability.
Yeah, he's
like,
amazing.
He's one of the best that's ever lived. But like, you know, it's too bad he's a shit of a human being.
Yeah. Makes bad choices.
I said that out loud, by the way. I don't really have much respect for him.
So what I heard is you just challenged John Jones to a fight?
Sure.
That'd be good money.
Yeah.
That'd be easy
good
money.
Easy money. I don't even need to get paid for it, man. He wants to come in here and fight me, then great.
Wow. I only do it for the cash flow, man.
No.
I'm not getting punched in the face unless you're paying me.
I don't know. I just figured it'd be a good experience. You know, you get to. And how often are you in the presence of that kind of skill?
That's true.
You know, I'd learn.
It'd be a life story.
I'd be knocked out, but I'd learn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Knocked out or submitted, whichever one he decided to use.
I would try to befriend him early, like as soon as you meet him, so he goes for a submission.
Like the first time he kicks me, be like, "Ooh, you got some good kicks, man. Yeah, I really respect that. Now you're a really good guy."
I heard your jiu-jitsu sucks.
No,
you know, try to bait him into a grappling exchange,
and then just give him your neck so that
nothing
breaks.
Nice and gentle,
so nothing breaks.
Just go to sleep, wake up. Might have a little headache, but other than that, you're going to be fine.
You're like, oh, I can't believe you got me. I so thought I was going to win this one.
Yeah, right. I was going to beat John Bones Jones.
Yeah, you and your in shapeness, and me and my out of shapeness.
So when that came down, the rumor mill immediately started who he's going to fight.
Oh,
number one name I'm hearing, Brock Lesnar.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is Brock back in?
He's still under contract, and he's still, from what I heard, he's still complying with USADA, so he's been doing his testing, even though he's in the WWE, which I find hard to believe.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I haven't seen images of him for a while.
I haven't either.
And I don't really watch the WWE, despite the fact that we do have WWE news today. But
yeah.
But that'll make a great segue. What we'll do is we'll come back to that and pretend that we segued right off of that into the next bit of news.
Okay. But yeah, would that not be the biggest? Like we talk about freak shows, but that would be exciting.
Are they in the same division?
No. So John Jones is typically a light heavyweight,
which is what?
205.
Okay.
And Brock Lesnar's heavyweight, which is the next weight class up.
Funny thing about 205.
Yeah.
So we had a seminar, a leg lock seminar over the weekend here
Yeah.
at Top Level Martial Arts, and brought in, well, he's been on the podcast, friend of the podcast, Sean Doherty.
Yep.
He came in, taught some really great stuff. But beforehand, I was talking to some of the guys who train with him and everything, and we were just talking about things, and you know, they were talking about how he's tough to beat and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, little guys like him always give me problems. They're kind of, you know, got to control them really well. And
Sean's
stuff like
not
that.
a little guy.
Well, they looked at me like I was cross-eyed, and they're like, little guys, like, what's little to you? And I'm like, I don't know, what is he, like 185, 200 pounds? He's little. And they're like, they're like, dude. I go, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like,
Well, it turns out you're walking at 265, so...
yeah, I'd probably a little less than 265.
Are you?
A
Good.
little.
Good.
Not much.
Good for you. But yeah, so you'd be right there in the meat and potatoes of the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
Whereas Sean, he's probably 200 pounds.
probably.
Yeah.
So entering the arena today, right now, is our special guest, Kendall Gage.
Hi there.
He didn't even know he was going to be on the podcast.
No, I was just
He happened to walk through the door while we were filming, and we said, hey, you're just in time to be on the podcast.
We should have like a little like do not disturb thing on the door or something.
Or a sock. Put a sock on the doorknob.
Yeah, I guess that could totally be misleading, but sure.
It would keep you from coming in, though, wouldn't it?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
It would get what you need.
You just hear me and Bill's voices in
Like
here, and you're
having
like...
That's
weird
funny.
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about John Jones via Brock Lesnar. The
What do you think
rumor
about
mill
that?
is in full effect because John Jones' suspension came down yesterday.
Right.
And everybody seems to think that that's going to be the August fight, is John Jones versus Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Is that compelling to you?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to watch it.
Right.
Like, it's not the
Yeah,
match
you're like
I would.
almost required to watch that
It's
fight.
Not the match I want, but it's
Yeah,
the
if I
match
could pick
deserve.
anything in the world, that's not the one I would pick. But as I think about it, I'm not 100% sure who I think would win. Because like,
Exactly. That's what makes it so compelling.
It could be a loss for John Jones.
It might be
Right.
his first loss.
well, because like 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, John Jones.
Just on brute
right?
force and lunchbox hands to the
Yeah.
face.
But then Brock Lesnar like put away giant Samoan dude,
Mark Hunt.
Mark Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
And Frank Mir.
I mean,
Mark
like
Lesnar's beat some couple guys.
Mark Hunt is a legitimate knockout artist who does nothing but not get taken down all day. And Brock just Brock's right through him.
Yeah.
Brock right there.
I wonder, is there anybody that can stop a Brock Lesnar takedown?
Randy Couture did a pretty good job.
Did he?
Olympic level
Yeah.
wrestlers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turns out that you want to stop a D1 wrestler from
Yeah.
taking you down, be an Olympic wrestler.
Right.
For me, the super fight would be Stipe via Brock Lesnar.
I think Stipe takes that easy.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too.
I just think stylistically he'd have a better skill set for it than
Yeah, and
I don't
he's-
know, John Jones doesn't get taken down much ever.
Yeah.
I think Brock Lesnar would get knocked out by Stipe.
I do too. Man, there's so many exciting matchup potentials coming up.
Although that would be a good one. I was surprised. I didn't even realize Brock Lesnar was still like in the mix.
He's kind of in the mix.
Yeah.
He's always out there.
Like so, this is just rumor mill stuff,
Yeah,
right?
oh,
Like
yeah.
the UFC hasn't been putting this out, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess who knows? They probably have their ways. Like, you know, they got like a guy. They give him like a lunchbox, and he, you know, it's got like some stuff in it, and he just goes and sits by a media guy, and like is like you know, and just like talking to a friend, right? I put that in quotation. He's like, wouldn't it be exciting if the UFC had just told me that Brock Lesnar versus John Jones was going to happen, and
Well,
then the
I
media
got-
is like
I
goes
got
and
this-
creates buzz.
I got this info from the same guy I got that the Floyd Connor thing was going to happen. Remember how confident I was?
Yeah.
And he does a podcast with a certain British
You're
MMA
allowed,
fighter.
You can say the name.
I don't want to get
Bisping?
in trouble. Yeah, he does.
Why? How would that get you in trouble?
I just don't want to get him in trouble. But anyways, like he's the same one. He's the
It's
one
on a podcast.
He did not say it on a podcast.
Oh,
He
okay.
sent me a message.
Oh, the podcaster sent you
Yes,
the message?
yeah,
Oh,
buddy of
okay.
mine. But he does a podcast with a certain British fighter.
Okay.
And he seems to think that it's in the works, like they're trying to make it happen.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
They're close enough in size, I guess.
Yeah.
And Kendall, I was saying, we got on the topic of me believing that people who are like 190, 200 pounds
Small.
are still small people.
I mean, as a 170-ish human being, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So,
See,
I would call it regular sized, like average.
most people would, but
Yeah.
at 185, I think is the
Yeah.
average man, right?
Yeah.
Or are we allowed to say man, or is it like G or Z or G or G person?
Well,
I'm just messing.
Yeah.
I don't care what pronouns they are.
yeah, I don't either.
Kendall, what are your pronouns?
like every single one I use in the dictionary for every single.
No, which ones do
occasion?
you prefer to be used for you?
Oh well, I'm a guy, so all of the guy.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't get so triggered, dude.
Whoa. Whoa.
I was watching a video and it was like it was a political video,
Yeah.
but it was like the guy, the first thing he said something about, I don't know if they were talking about the gender,
Right.
whatever. And he's like, well, would you believe that, as a woman, would you? And she goes, what makes you think I'm a woman? He goes, well, do you have female genitalia? And she's like, yeah. He goes, that's why. And she's like, but you didn't ask me my pronouns. He goes, I refuse to ask people their pronouns when they sit down in front of me.
Yeah.
It was just, it was a funny statement that, probably piss a lot of people off, but I don't think it'll piss our viewers off. So
let me ask you this.
I'm okay making fun
Just
of
because
it.
I know you guys are nice guys.
Right.
Now, if somebody asked you, like, hey, could you please call me these pronouns? Would you
Yeah.
do it?
I got no problem.
Depends what they are.
Okay.
If they try to have me use made up words, probably not. But if they say, look, can you just call me by my name? Like if you were like, hey, don't call me he, just anytime you want to talk about me, just say Ed. I could do that. I'd get
Okay.
behind that.
Okay.
But like if you're gonna make up a word, just like call me Zhuge.
I think Z or Zer is one of
One,
them.
I can't even fucking pronounce that. Two, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's hard for me to get behind that.
If they don't mind that I'm going to have to be reminded to do it, like I'm not offended by the idea of doing that for them, but just be aware that like I have
I may mess up.
a couple decades of conditioning otherwise that I'm going to have to overcome constantly. It'd be like if you told me from now on I have to write my name with my left hand. It's going to take a couple million reps before I'm like, no, move this pen over.
Yeah.
And then make this shaky thing happen.
I tend to agree with you, Kendall. I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
I just don't care enough to not do it. Does that make sense? Like
I guess I wouldn't argue with that, but they would definitely get a weird look from me. I think
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that's the way I should say it. Oh, we got a GIF from somebody. We'll put that away. Thanks, Cindy. I haven't looked at it yet. Apparently, she sent me another one.
Yeah, you get two.
Yeah, there we go. Now the whole podcast knows.
Yeah.
That Cindy sends everybody, all of her friends, gifts constantly.
Yeah, like I guess I just don't get outraged by it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those ones.
I don't know that I get outraged. It just baffles me.
Oh yeah, it's
like
baffling.
the scientist in me has real problems with it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? I don't. Whatever.
but the psychology student in me makes me
The psychology minor in me still has problems.
really see. For me, I think that's what makes me accept it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
I mean, I have to accept it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is, they say that's how they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that I can't not accept that that's how they feel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with them about how they feel.
yeah,
Like,
I agree.
If that's what you say, then that's what you say.
I think I actually made this point last week that emotions are not always
Yeah, they're not rational at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not a point of discussion really for this
Yeah.
particular audience. But I don't know, maybe it is.
I was just curious because I
Give us 1 billion views. Blow it up if you think that we just destroyed that and saved, fixed that whole problem.
I doubt we fixed anything. We spoke in a lot of vague, careful terms.
Right.
I'm the only one who came close to making any kind of statement.
Yeah. Me and Kendall are just like, yeah.
Whatever you want to
whatever.
do what you want.
I don't care.
You're not hurting anybody.
I
Yeah.
relate to this. Let me take a moment to apologize for the fact I'm going to cough occasionally because I had the fucking plague last week.
All right.
And I'm sure that sounds awful over podcast, so.
Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, we've all had the plague in the last month, man. This flu season has been world
Brutal.
class.
Brutal.
This was the John Jones of flus.
Right. If it were the John Jones of flus, we'd all be really strong right now.
Really strong. Not
We'd have-
sleeping well at night.
We'd have like a constant
long nights.
erection. and
Oh, man.
It'd be like, the tainted flu medicine.
Yeah, that's
Damn it.
I popped hot again. It was that damn Tamiflu.
That's funny.
Where'd I leave my $100 bills covered in Coke?
Yeah, right.
Oh, man.
Probably
Where
in
did
the
this
car that I just
podcast
crashed
go?
Into a pregnant lady.
Where did we go? What
Yeah, so
happened?
back to the WWE news.
Oh yeah, speaking of WWE,
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey signed.
So she's officially in the WWE.
She's officially in, and now I saw this on Ricky Lundell's Instagram.
now? Okay.
Ricky Lundell being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, grappling coach with Frank Mir, friend of Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
I saw, it was on his his Instagram.
Good for
picture
her.
of him and her, and yeah, I mean, good for her. Like, what do you think about that, Kendall? Do you have thoughts on it?
I think she's better off there than in MMA right now. She doesn't seem to love MMA. What she seems to love is the adoration of her fans.
Yes.
She seems to like working out. She seems to like playing the heel a tiny bit, right? So yeah, let her judo toss a bunch of giant women and just move on with her life and be just. She's already got enough money to do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She might as well do this thing.
I kind of agree. Like she's been in a couple movies, and of course, I don't think she's really an A-list actress, right? But she's done her part. She proved judo can be done and used in MMA. She's done a lot.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think you're right. I like that you point out she likes playing the heel. I think she liked being the bad guy.
Right, and
that's just a perfect venue
it's perfect
for
for WWE.
And I don't mean to be dismissive of her acting, but her quality of acting maybe isn't right for a lot of Hollywood roles, but it's probably just about right for
for the
professional
WWE.
wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, little known fact about Ronda Rousey. You know how she's called Rowdy?
Mm-hmm.
That's in reference to Rowdy Piper.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't think that was little known. So anyway, by the way, we are now also joined by Mr. Robbie Gorham. How's it going, Robbie?
What's up?
What's up, he says.
What's up?
Robbie's not feeling great. It's that kind of year in Ohio.
Like I said, the whole staff has been smitten by the plague.
Well, you were talking about Roddy Piper. They made a big deal about that on the UFC when he died.
Okay,
yeah.
so maybe it's not a little known fact, but
Yeah.
how about a known fact?
Okay.
known
It is a fact.
It is a known
It's just
fact.
a fact. But maybe people here didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Roddy Piper died. He died.
a while ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
But that's why Ronda Rousey's called Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
No, I didn't even
Is
know he was
after
dead.
Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
I think there's just also only
All
so
right.
many words that are gonna alliterate with that.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Way to bring down the podcast, Mr.
Come on,
Sickface.
Mr. Sick.
I feel like I beat it in El Paso and then it just came back.
Yeah, that seems
So I'm
that's
like,
been a theme this year.
Look, beating things on your own time. I mean, come on. We don't need to know about
Yeah,
all
you
that.
do what you do in El
You were
Paso.
in a sunny place.
Yeah.
Where nature
It
was
was
helping.
so
you.
nice to be sick there. It was nice and warm.
And then you came here, and I was like, no.
I was like, hang on,
Have
bro.
some of this moist.
You know what you need more?
Cold.
You need more gray.
Gray.
Let's get you some
Gray.
gray.
Yeah.
Some quality Ohio February.
Turns out
gray.
none of us have the flu. We're just all vitamin D deficient. We're all just struggling for vitamins. That's all it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think about Rowdy Ronda? I almost called her Ronda Piper.
Yeah, Ronda Piper.
Ronda Rousey joining WWE. Signed up on
She's
the
official.
dotted line.
I think she should have stuck with the UFC.
Really?
I'm not like a big WWE fan.
All right.
Yeah, neither am I.
But what about it for her? Like, you know.
I mean, she's happy because I know she went through that depression little thing when everything started going down south and
yeah.
bigger
Yeah,
names
she
started
didn't.
coming up and
She
crushing
didn't
her.
seem to take that very
Nah.
well.
Nah, ego got deflated.
Yeah.
So what I'm taking away is you hate Ronda Rousey?
No, I love her. I feel
You
like
challenge her to
It's
a
all
fight.
about you?
Oh, I definitely want to have a one-on-one with her because that'd be fun. Because then you get to learn some judo from her. She's
Yeah, that'd be
magnificent.
Bill said he could beat up John Jones. What are
Kind of
your
like
thoughts on
David
that?
Porter coming this weekend. If I feel better, I'm gonna beat him up too.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you hear that?
He probably doesn't listen to this podcast. I mean, he might. If you do, thanks.
That's what he does. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, but he's coming. He told me. He said, I need to beat up Robbie Gorham. I hope he's healthy. That's what he said.
I'm gonna get him in the long run if I still have the flu, so it's okay. It's
Send
chemical
Bill text
warfare.
like, how many arms do you need Robbie to have?
Yeah.
Bill's
Go
like,
back to
just
Virginia
the
and be
right
like,
one.
Just the right one. That's the only one he needs.
Well, we better keep the left because he doesn't have full flexibility in his right wrist.
Man.
feels like a different.
This is it
hand.
hanging. Completely straight.
It's just rigid.
So for anybody who can't see, which would be anybody not the four of us,
Yeah.
Robbie's just chilling. Got his elbow propped up on something with his arm hanging over, which typically would mean that your wrist would have anywhere from a 90 to like like a 90-degree bend, right? Because it's just hanging.
much
His
any
is
bend.
perfectly like
Board straight.
Board straight. Yeah, that's a great way. Like
Super fused.
because it's fused together by
Thanks, US
bolts
Army.
and.
That's funny.
Man, what are you going to do? So let's get into a more serious topic.
What's the serious topic?
Active shooter training.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Do it.
you did a small video on this and your
Yeah.
thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I was talking about this on, and it's not active shooter. The idea of active shooter training, I think that's a good thing. Like, and
Yeah.
what happens is local police departments go into businesses and schools and whatever else and conduct training and teach them like how they want the people to act. And in general, it's like run, hide, fight, right? Like, so you start hearing gunshots. If you're capable of just exiting the area, just get out, get
Run
the hell
as far
out.
from that noise as possible.
Yeah, get out, call 911, and you know, just stay safe.
Yep.
And then the second part of that being like hide, like so if you go to open the door and leave and you're like, oh, dude's right outside, you know, or like just down the hall, I don't think I can go without getting, you know, shot at. You hide, and you know, lock the door, close the windows, things like that, so that you try not to be a target. And then the very last possible option is to fight, right? So like if I'm behind a door and the dude starts kicking it down, I really don't have a lot of options anymore. A dude's coming in with a gun. Do whatever you can to survive, right?
Yep.
Hit him with a desk. Hit him with a
Fight for your life.
Yeah, hit him with a chair. Fight for your life. Violence of action. Well, and that's great. So like, there's businesses that bring police officers in to do that. I've been in a few of them that do it. I've been through that training a couple times. But one thing that I've seen and I feel is just a terrible thing is that like martial arts schools are offering what they're calling active shooter training, but not like done by the local police department, right? Like it's just their opinion on what you should do if someone comes in firing. And my problem with this is that if they do it, if they do this and it contradicts anything that's taught by the local police, or the local police aren't aware of what's being told. So imagine like you're in an active shooter, like let's pretend, and we will never do this, by the way. I'm not suggesting that my company will. I just don't want to call out other companies.
Yeah.
But you know, let's say we were doing one and we told the kids, yeah, you know, you got to do this, that, and this, and it kind of contradicts what they're supposed to do. And then you know, like they're at school and shit goes down, God forbid.
Yeah.
Like now you've got a conflict in training, and that's not good. That now choices need to be made and things need to be explained, and that's just unsafe. And it just leads to this broader epidemic, in my opinion, of like what martial artists do.
Yeah.
And so many of them, like, and I said it in the video too. Like we got these guys who pretend to fire chi balls out their ass, right? Like I stick my hand out towards Kendall and he passes out. You know, and you get that in religion, you get that in a lot of places, and great. But I think most well-adjusted human beings look at that and say, yep, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's never going to work. That's not something that you can learn. The problem I have is when martial artists make shit up that can look real enough to people that they don't know the difference. And
Yeah.
they wouldn't know the difference until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
They get killed.
Yeah, active shooter training is dangerous. Why? Because police are expecting one thing to happen
life or death.
and you to be doing something, and they have an SOP by which they operate, a standing operating procedure, and they have rules of engagement under which they're operating. And you know, if you're like scouring the halls looking to disarm some guy, you know, like fucking Bruce Willis on Die Hard.
Oof.
And I'm not saying that, like, this is an extreme example. I would hope that there's no martial arts school out there saying to do that. But, you know, like if they give you that kind of confidence and that's what you're trying to do, you might get shot.
Yeah.
And as always, a phone rings during the podcast.
Oh, so professional.
Kendall has temporarily left us.
I was gonna say,
For the phone.
honestly, in like how culture is now right now in society, it's probably not the best for them to be trying to teach like active shooter and stuff, because there's so many people out there right now that just they want to push off the negative on stuff. Like they want to like assume that everything is just dandelions and everything's super nice and flowery, and they push off like what real life scenarios are. And you go in and train them and get them super confident like they're a superhero, and they go running in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like there's a video going out, and I thought about just letting it go, and I think maybe we might come back to it and do a video on it. But Like this lady's got 2 guns up against her, like one at her belly and one at her head, and she's showing like a move to beat that. Like there is no move for that. You just fight, right? Like you're just getting out. Don't let them point at you and do your best. Like there's no technique, there's no anything. And it's dangerous to make those things look like they're real. That's straight movie bullshit, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to say and to convince people of this, but the thing I do say is if you're running a martial arts school, or if you're in one, and they're giving active shooter training that is not being operated by the police department in which you are. So like we're in Cuyahoga Falls. If I have an Akron police officer come in, which is close, and I have them do it, I think that's wrong, because that may not be the same standard operating procedure that Cuyahoga Falls is expecting, right? So it needs to be in your town. It can't just be, hey, this guy's a police officer, so he's going to give some training. Like it's immoral because it's dangerous, and don't do it. Just don't do it. If you're running a martial arts school, don't do that.
And if you're a person that wants to acquire this kind of training, I recommend calling your police department and starting there. Yeah, call your local police department.
Our own Greg, he always talks about that they actually do training through their police.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, so there's no
because that's who's going to be responding. And something I didn't get into in the video, and then so like if you have 2 units hooking up, so this is something that you train in the military, and police train it, and you know, you have 2 units hooking up, right? Like they're supposed to come together under fire or during an operation. It's one of the most dangerous times in the military because you've got 2 units who are firing shooting at bad guys, doing things like that, and they're coming together, and there's a higher likelihood of fratricide or blue on blue, right? Like good guys shooting good guys. That's how Pat Tillman died. He was a Ranger. He was the
friendly fire.
Yeah, he was an Arizona Cardinal. This has been several years now. Jocko Willink talks about it in his book, Extreme Ownership. He had some guys go down because of that. It's very dangerous. And the more people you have moving around, especially if they're not expecting you to be moving around, the higher a likelihood that a good guy shoots a good guy. And that's clearly not a good thing. Like imagine that. You've got kids who are trying to do things they shouldn't be doing, and they get shot by a police officer because they don't know what's going on. You want to talk about things being bad now? Imagine that situation going down. And that's what you're creating, is a higher likelihood of something like that.
So what do you guys think about teachers being armed?
I agree with it.
I think that we've got about 3.6 million teachers, and let's say that we armed 1/10 of those. That's a lot of guns, which means a lot of money to spend on those guns in a lot of places where they don't have money for textbooks. I think a lot of teachers aren't psychologically prepared to pull a trigger on somebody. That's why we have police officers, and we give them thousands of hours of training, right? And to tell a teacher who's probably, like, let's be real, a 50-year-old woman who taught social studies because she loves it, hey, one of these 20 children before you, or wait, that's a small class. One of these 35 children before you, one of these days you might have to just shoot in the head.
You might just have to off them.
Like, that's a difficult conversation to have. Like,
man.
I agree with that, because my grandma was a teacher, and she's in her 50s, like the same thing. She's old. She was talking about the same thing, I was like, the biggest thing I had to try to explain to her was that it wouldn't just be like, well, here's a gun, go run with it.
But it would be.
Something has to happen.
The problem is it would be, because for a lot of police officers it is. And
they do the same thing.
Like if you've never seen, go ask the average police officer how often they do active shooter training.
It's crazy to me because I come from the point of military background.
In the military, they barely do it
constantly.
But even then, like, it's not as often as it could be. How often did you go to the range and fire your weapon?
I was with the infantry, so we were out there all the time.
How often is all the time?
Once a month.
That's one time. That's 12 times a year.
Yeah, that's true.
You think that's a lot?
Simulations and all kinds of other stuff too.
Yeah, you get a lot of simulations. That's 12 times a year.
And this is the Army.
Police officer is lucky to do it.
This isn't Cuyahoga Falls High School.
Yeah, so now you've got police. Like, I think it's a terrible idea, is my opinion. I think it's, and I tend to lean conservative in most of my views.
Yeah.
For anybody who cares, but I think it's one of the worst ideas you have, and because for the reason I said before, your likelihood of blue on blue is way higher. So imagine you're a police officer. Let's say you're the first one to respond, right? And your job's to go in. You got to go in. Now we had a situation recently where that didn't happen, and that's being dealt with however. But your job is to go in. So you draw your weapon, you go in, you know there's an active shooter. You turn the hall, you see a guy with a gun, you're like, put down the gun, he turns and looks at you, you blow him away. Why? Because it's a high-stress situation, you don't know. Turns out that was Mr. Oakley, the gym teacher, who had his carry. And you know what I mean? Like, you've got these situations where they don't have any way to communicate with each other, any way to say where they are or what they're doing. And now, what kind of weapon are you going to give them? You're going to put a rifle in the classroom? So more buildings are being built single level, which means they have long hallways. And handguns tend to be grossly inaccurate over distance, right? Rifles are the exact opposite. They're very accurate. So you're probably going to give these teachers handguns because, one, they're less expensive than rifles, and two,
what are you going to do? Have an AR hanging on the wall?
You can just have like a gun cabinet,
like an AR-15 just sitting there. I mean,
or whatever.
The whole topic of discussion of the AR-15 always irritates me too. The civilian's point of view on it. It's a garbage rifle in the military.
Well, regardless, I mean, my point is, I think it's a really bad idea. I think you have a much higher likelihood that good guys get shot by good guys. Even more specifically, kids.
I completely see where you're coming from.
I mean,
the training just isn't there.
And then the other factor is,
it won't be.
There's going to now be guns in every classroom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just like your likelihood of getting shot goes up by owning a gun, I feel that would be a factor in the classroom as well. Because now you're going to, what's stopping said crazy kid from taking the gun from the teacher when she has her back to the chalkboard?
That's what you should. It's not going to be hanging on the wall though. It should be on like a safe that only the teachers know the codes to.
All right, but hear me out there. There's a safe. Let's say it takes you 30 seconds to get into that safe, and I have come into the school with the plan of shooting a lot of people. The person who knows the code to the safe, bang, well, I took care of you.
If there's one
well,
in each room,
yeah, the idea would be that every teacher would have one, so it would just be one classroom, and then all the other classrooms would be armed.
Still, though, it's not like these things are going on for like 30 minutes of shooting usually.
I'm also, I gotta keep going back to like
Columbine went on for a very long time.
Yeah, they're several minutes usually.
Yeah, I think they're shorter now mainly because there's better training. Like we know what to do. If you remember in Columbine, I don't know, how old were you for Columbine? 1997.
I was 98. A child.
Yeah.
I think I was in my
I think it was 98.
Yeah,
I had graduated high school.
I was like 7.
I just
like at that point, they didn't know what to do. They just told everybody to hide underneath their desk.
Yeah, and they just were sitting ducks.
Yeah, and they just they walked. I mean, it's horror stories when you listen to the survivors. Like one girl survived because the kid, he like looked under the desk, put a shotgun in her face, and said, "Oh, you were always nice to me," and then walked on and then shot the next guy up.
Right.
Like that's horror stories. Right. You know what I mean? So and here's the thing. Like and I respect your opinion, Robbie. I want to point that out
because I don't think I have anything to debate on it. Like honestly, because where my brain always goes is like, well, we got this training, and then we do this, and this, and then you're like, it's a teacher at a public school, and I'm like, you're right. It's not me and my boys back in like the army.
Yeah,
where we're like,
different.
we'll hit this access point. We know they have an avenue approach. There's one place that they can come from. We'll just set up, and they don't know that. They don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and the other factor I think is just you can never prepare the teachers for the stress of that situation.
No.
You can't even, honestly, on that too, in the military, there's a lot of people who will crack. They crack. As soon as the first little bit of stress comes, they just break down and start crying.
And the example I used earlier with Bill is when we had that fire at my house trying to get my front door unlocked. Mind you, this is a door I had been opening every day for 6 years. Like I had it to the point where it's like a one-hand motion. Turn the lock, open the door all in one motion. It probably took me 30 seconds to a minute just to get the key into the slot because I was shaking so bad.
The adrenaline pump.
Yeah, and I would honestly consider myself somebody who's pretty calm under pressure. You know, so now you take just like you said, 50-year-old English teacher who's never been in a situation like this at all, probably never been in a fist fight, you know. How can you prepare her for the stress of a shootout?
Yeah. And, you know, having been in war, I can tell you that unfortunately, I never had to kill anybody, but I did have to point my weapon at several people. And every time there was that moment, like it goes through your head, like I don't really want to pull this trigger. Yeah. I'm going to if I have to, but I don't really want to do it. You know, like there, you know, I'm sure that becomes easier over time, but you know,
stories from different people.
Yeah.
I've had people that tell me, I don't know how PG this is supposed to be, but people who did it their first time went back and laid in the bunk bed and, you know, and then woke up and continue on the next day. And then there's the people who mentally
Cry their eyes out.
Yeah,
And
like, I can't believe I did that.
And to further highlight the point I was using about the fire, why didn't I just kick the door open? Why did I feel I had to unlock it?
There's a lot of like what
Do you know what I mean? Like,
guarantee safety of your family was going through your head a lot.
Yeah, dude.
Because that's where my brain would be. It
Yeah,
would be
but
exactly
I mean,
about the door. It'd be, what's Haley doing? What's my wife
like
doing?
I said, like I would like to think I'm prepared for these type of situations, and that's a perfect example of not doing the right thing. The right thing would have been just immediately kick the door open and get in there quicker. But instead, I fumbled with my keys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys definitely changed my opinion on the whole.
Because and the reality is, Robbie, I agreed with you first. Immediately, I was like, yeah, let's give them something so they're not sitting ducks. But then when you really start thinking about it, you know what I mean?
All the factors that go with it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think of as like the higher gun control areas in the United States are also the highest crime rate. But then that's why I'm like, all right, then give a gun. It'll be good. And we'll train them. We'll get some people in. But that just doesn't take the funding. And then what you said, they can't even get a textbook that's out of like the 1800s. Right? Like, I mean,
we've got shit that's telling people like man hopes to someday go to the moon and stuff like that.
Yeah. My kids go to pretty well-funded schools, and I was looking through one of their social studies books, and I counted like 9 or 10 countries that no longer exist. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, and this is a pretty well-funded school system.
It's wild.
You know, so
because they're not going to dish out.
It's like maybe one day they'll tear down the wall.
Yeah,
in Berlin.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Because you got to think even like a discount for like a handgun, because they're going to go handgun, and then that is a huge thing for. That I didn't even think of that too. About
too
the
much
long
training.
hallways.
It's too much training.
Max effective range for a 9mm is 50 meters because the round drops half a target frame. Like, can you imagine a long? It's going to be way more than 50 meters in the hallway. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like we're sitting.
This is definitely over.
Like imagine with just a 9mm trying to hit. So for anybody who can't see, about 25 to 30, maybe even 40 yards away from me is a door, and
there's a
like imagine trying to like center mass on that piece of paper.
I always remember with our 50-meter target, I had to like
it would be
laugh
tough.
and aim a little bit above it just to hit.
That would be tough to hit
with a pistol. So.
Yeah, unless you train it every day or regularly. So anyway, I mean that's completely off topic, although I think a relevant topic.
Yeah, very relevant.
Yeah, I mean I just if you're running a martial arts school, don't be pretending that you're something you're not, guys.
And if you do want active shooter training, call your local police department, start there, and have them guide you in the correct direction.
Have them do it.
Yeah.
I think they do it for free.
Oh,
most
really?
of them, yeah.
Okay.
They want you to be safe. Yeah. You know, like
turns out that's what police do.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd love to have people in those situations on the same page as them.
Yes.
Yes.
So
100%.
Like.
So anyway, that was a grinding my gears, right? Moment. Because I drove past a place this morning.
You made me feel a little better on it though. So
was Columbine the first one? Was that the one that
the first one in my lifetime that I remember?
Me too.
I don't want to say the first one because I don't know.
But I mean, I feel like that's where it all started in my mind too.
I feel like it was a big one. Yeah,
it's just been getting progressively worse since then.
How old were you for Columbine? 98.
It was 98. I was like six or seven. I was a little kid.
Young people.
It's the weird thing is back in those time frames, you gotta think like I'm a little kid always wanting to wake up and watch cartoons, and then you see this like shit just flow across the news, and it takes up all of your channels. That was how 9/11 was for me.
Yeah,
my teachers were swearing and being mean, and then afterwards they're like, "I'm sorry."
Robbie just trying to watch a SpongeBob.
Well, they were mean
I was
to us
in college.
They were mean to us in the school. And
so was I.
I was running on a treadmill.
Later in the day, they said something about like, "Oh, I know it's a little off topic, sorry," but they were like, "Hey, you know, I'm sorry, kids. I'm just having a really bad day. You'll understand when your parents talk to me when you get home." And I was like, I don't even understand what she's talking about.
How old were you for that?
I would have been 5th grade. It was 5th grade for 9/11, so I don't know how old I was. I was
21.
I went home to watch some cartoons and eat a bowl of cereal after school, and I was like...
And they just kept showing these buildings fall down over and over again.
I kept flipping through. I'm like, where are my cartoons? Just flipping, and every channel was 9/11.
So funny, not that 9/11 can be funny, but I went out drinking the night before. So I was sleeping off a hangover. Woke up to like a video of the building coming down. I'm like, oh, I wonder what movie this is, man. That looks realistic as shit. I went and took a shower, ate some food. So I was like 3, 4, 5 hours behind everybody finding out about it.
Same.
So like the world was at war, and I'm just sitting in my PJs. You know,
it was crazy because I just remember everything was. It was like the entire United States stood still for a day.
Yes.
Yeah. Like because I had to work, and at the time I was a manager at CVS Pharmacy, and I remember going in there, and we basically pulled a TV out onto the counter.
Yeah.
And just watch news coverage the entire day, and maybe 4 people total the entire day came in.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's what I was asking, like, when did you originally join the military for that? Because I had an NCO who just finished basic training. They were in that little holdover, getting ready to leave.
I was
and
already
it happened that day.
I was already in.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got a call that day.
It's crazy.
To let us know that, we hadn't been called up yet, because I was a reservist, and but to stay available.
It's just weird, like, for me to think about that, because my age, I came in, understand that the war was going on, and then my brother and my cousin all went and, did their stuff, and I was like, well, I'm going to join. I can't imagine joining in, and you're like, okay, I'm going to join the military. I've always wanted to do this. This is going to be a great honor. And then, like, the next day, it's like, hey, yeah, war popped off. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if... Emotionally, I was getting myself ready over the last year, so that last year. Yeah. And then... I can't imagine.
And then you didn't have to go. So good.
Yeah, I didn't even have to go.
Good for you.
Lucked out.
Good for you.
Oh man.
All right, so let's get off the depressing shit.
Yeah.
So I talked to a purple belt, and maybe so we've got Kendall, who's a purple belt. Ed, you're getting close.
Real close.
Robbie, you're a blue belt. So maybe no, I'm just kind of giving everybody
third stripe
preface, giving everybody context here. So I was talking to a purple belt last night, and he wrote me and he said. Hey, Bill, something strange has been happening to me lately. Like, I feel like I'm just, like, looking at the clock more during class, and I'm really much more interested in open mat time than I am, like, the class itself. What are your thoughts on that? So what do you guys have as far as that goes?
Is he talking about for our class?
Yeah, whatever. But it doesn't matter.
Class
just
in general.
Be in general.
Oh, I was like, I feel like in our classes, like, I'm, like, always learning something new, and if I'm not, even if I catch myself getting in that cocky blue belt moment where I'm like, I've drilled this a million times, I'm good, and you come over and you're like, let me show you an extra detail, and I have to rethink my entire jiu-jitsu game, and I go home just frustrated.
Okay.
Sit there with my wife.
Like, I sympathize with him if he's coming to like 101 class, which is our fundamentals class, and by the time you're a purple belt, you've done each of them about 1,000,000 times, right? And like, if you've come to the second one in a week, that means you're doing the same one again, which sometimes I really like, because that makes me get really good at a fundamental, right, reviewing it. But if that's what you're coming to, then yeah, you're going to get a little bit bored of it. But the way you combat that is, like, you don't look at the clock at all, and you ask yourself, I wonder if I can get 30 reps of this armbar, and make sure that my partner also gets 30 reps of this armbar. If you catch your partner talking to somebody or stopping, you pull them into your guard and go for your armbar until they've figured out that they also must go for armbars. And then by the end of it, you've got really good armbars. Like, class is supposed to be entertaining, but really the entertaining part is the benefits you get from it. Yeah. It's like eating your vegetables. I'm getting bored of eating my vegetables. Well, that's great, but you're not going to get bored of being able to run like a 6-minute mile, so just work on it.
Fair enough.
I can kind of relate. I can see how that would happen. Similar to what you said. Once you've you've repped a move 1,000 times. Yeah. The way I combat it is I just kind of zone out, get my reps in, but then socialize with my partner or the group next to us while I'm getting my reps in, and then it becomes like a social hang.
Right.
And I'm getting better at jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see where it would happen. You're a purple belt. You've been doing the same arm bar for 6 years.
I was gonna say that's probably another reason why I don't ever notice like the clock or how much time has passed. Is just because I could be having the worst day on the outside, but as soon as I always tell you guys, as soon as I come in here, it's like I instantly feel better. Like, I don't know, like I'm not looking at the clock because I don't want to go home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in here just having fun with my boys and doing jiu-jitsu, and then just learning crazy stuff that I don't know. It blows my mind every day.
Yeah, I feel like the friendship is what gets me through when it's something I don't want to drill again. But the reality is, jiu-jitsu is a perishable skill. If you quit drilling it, it will go away.
Yeah. So, I told him I thought it was a pretty normal thing.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually, the 101 class thing, I told him, I said, let's be honest, you've probably done the basics 101, like hair grab defense and stuff like that, like 1,000,000 times. Like it's not interesting to you. Right. Probably won't be. And if you skip it for a few months, that's probably not a bad thing. Like, you'll be fine as long as you don't forget it. Right. Yeah. But like what I said was, this happened to me too, especially at purple belt. Like, so I kind of wanted to, and this is why I highlighted the ranks here, that Kendall's a purple belt. Ed's like, literally this time next month will be a purple belt. Mm-hmm. And Robbie, you're still a blue belt. And you heard the difference in the way you guys responded to the question. Like, Ed and Kendall were like, yeah, that could happen. And Robbie was like, no, how would that happen? That can't happen. And that's the difference between, in my opinion, like a mid or new blue belt versus a purple belt. A purple belt knows a lot of jiu-jitsu. Like, a lot. Quite honestly, in a lot of ways, they know as much jiu-jitsu probably as a black belt.
Just not as refined.
It's not as refined. But, and that's the problem, right? So, like, let's say, you know, like what you said, you've been working on arm bars a lot, right, Ed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's say you come in and we're working on triangle and you're like, damn, I wish I could work this arm bar setup I was working, right? And that's why you're excited for open mat.
Yeah.
Because, like, you just want to get to the move that you want to work on.
Yeah.
And you know that during open mat, you're going to be trying to hit that or work with whatever. And so what I would do, and this is, and I'm not suggesting this is what everybody does or needs to do or should do, but like I would call my instructor ahead of time, and he and I are very close friends, and I'd just say, hey, what are we working on today, Tony? And he'd be like, this, and this. And if it wasn't something that, quote, interested me, I'd say, hey, well, listen, is it okay if, you know, Joe Blow and I come in and we drill this series we've been working on? Because, like, I really suck at it, and it's where I need them. And he'd be like, oh, I don't care. Do that then. That's fine. And so we would go off to the side, and like, we're those guys, you know what I mean? But, like, it's not the only place I've seen that happen. Like, I've been at Pedro Sauer's Academy, and there were 6 black belts. You know, when I came in, and like, we all just kind of got together and drilled at the side and worked our stuff during the 101 classes and like the fundamentals classes and stuff. And it's just kind of what happens. Now it's 10,000 square feet there. Yeah. There's lots of room, and so a class can go on, and you get 4 classes going on at the same time, and nobody knows the difference. Yeah. It's one thing if you're like in a 700 square feet building where like you're going to be in people's way if you're drilling like Ochigari, a takedown, and like everybody else is doing guard passing, right? Yeah. Like now you're just the dickhead. Yeah. But I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, this is the part of my game I'm trying to shore up. Is it okay if I drill that during class? Like, if someone were to call me and say that, I probably wouldn't mind. As long as I know ahead of time that they're going to do it.
What would your thoughts be on someone saying, let's say we got 2 purple belts and a brown belt that the only time they can get in here is for a 101 class, and they're like, hey, will you give us something to work on?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
It's actually another thing I mentioned to the kid. This happened. Somebody wrote me last night and said this. And I thought, man, that's a great topic, because I think purple belt's right where that starts to happen. Yeah. You know, and like he's in the same, like he's the exact same rank as you, Ed. Like he's going to be a purple belt in like a month.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, like, so.
Well, I know it's one of 2 people then.
Yeah. One of 3, right? Yeah. Well, not including
myself. Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, you know, I don't know. I guess that's just how I do it. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong. And something I used to do years ago when there would be enough people, like there were a couple brown belts and I was a brown belt, and you know, there'd be a bunch of white belts and blue belts. I'd have like the white belts and blue belts drilling one thing, and then I'd go and say, okay, if you're this rank or above, drill this. You know, and here's this cool combination that I've been working on. If you like it, try it out. Yeah. So I think that's always cool too.
I kind of like seeing like some of the purple belts will do it where they'll drill the move, but then they'll just chain other moves off of it. Like if I'm sitting with like even Logan, like my best friend, he'll what is it? If we're doing armbar from guard, you know he's going to be throwing in all of his omoplatos.
Damn it, Logan! No, I'm just kidding. It's cool.
Yeah. It always makes me laugh. He'll be like, "Here's the armbar. Does it feel tight? All right, tap."
But I mean, that's part of the learning experience, right? I mean, that's like. To me, I don't know, that's like when you learn math and you learn all this math and all this math and all this math. If all you sit there and do is equations all your life, that's useless. But like at some point you're going to be like, hey, is it okay if I apply this to this thing? Like whatever, you know, to some engineering
Can I
project?
use these fractions to cut my pie?
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like you want to apply the knowledge that you've gained, and you only have so much time in the week to do it. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. I feel like to answer your question, yes, I could see where that would happen, but I think these are all great ways to combat that. Yeah. Yeah.
Robbie, you're still a blue belt. You drill what I tell you to drill.
On the topic of that too, like where you were talking about like the differences between like purple belts and blue belts, like I always notice it when me and Ed are out on the floor and we're teaching something, and they'll be like an adult will randomly ask like, well, what are you doing this? And I'm like, I'm kind of like more muscle memory, I guess. I started to notice that a lot of my defenses or what I'll do in that moment comes from like just the muscle memory of it, and then Ed can explain it, and that's where it makes me laugh. Like I'm like, oh, there's the difference between the purple belt and the blue belt, because I'm over here like I could, once I start doing it, I could explain what I'm doing. But just standing there, I'd be like, and then that's where he
totally relate to that, because
it just makes me laugh.
As about a 2-stripe blue belt, I'd have to have people say, "Do that to me," and then I would see what I do, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, do this."
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Like I can defend it if I got this, and this, this is what I would do.
I can relate to that. I remember that.
It's really weird to watch. Like, even Kendall do it. He'll just come up and be like, just do this. He doesn't even have to, like, lay down.
Yeah, and Kendall, you're 2 stripes now?
Yeah, I think so.
2-stripe purple belt. So
It's pretty amazing.
midway through purple belt.
Halfway to brown ski.
Maybe
You're
pretty
right
soon
there
a
with
little
me
higher than
with
that.
the blue. I'm a 2-stripe blue, 2-stripe purple. What's that like being so close to brown? Can you taste it? Like, I was like,
Can you taste it?
All my friends are going to purple, and I'm sitting there just like.
Meanwhile, you know there's someone on this going.
I agree.
The belt doesn't matter. They'll just learn the
Yeah.
belt, and you're not wrong.
You're not wrong,
but you're wrong.
Like, I feel you, Robbie.
Yes.
I feel you.
It matters to a lot of people.
I know that statement just contradicted the shit out of itself, but
You're not wrong,
but you are wrong. I tend to agree exactly with that.
Like, we know what you're saying.
Yep.
But
The
if you're
acquisition of
getting upset
skill
over
is
it,
king.
You're overthinking.
Yeah. Like, if you all you care about is getting a belt, then great, go buy a belt. But like,
Shit.
what?
So I should just go buy a belt?
Oh, I thought maybe you like stubbed your toe or something.
You can buy as many belts as you want of the rank you're currently.
Ah.
Buy 100 blue belts.
See, I got that baby
Have
blue
one for
belt,
every
but I'm
day.
like,
Have one for every year you're going to wear
Formal
it.
blue belt.
Yeah.
how many people?
I'd already have 3.
Like, do you feel that like sentimental value with your belt? Though?
Yes.
Because a lot of people ask me, they're like, if you don't like the fact that, because okay, let me just put this out there right now. I have an A3 belt. I have a big midsection. I'm supposed to be wearing an A4. At the time when I was getting my blue belt, there was a choice between my A3 and an A5. And I was like, doing Taekwondo, I used to get hit in the face by the belt whenever you do your moves. And I thought that might happen with an A5, so I was like, I'll take the A belt.
Well, and let's be honest, you were maybe a little smaller then
A little leaner.
Win with the
when you got your blue belt.
No.
The first time?
Oh, the first time? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. I was like 189 pounds or something like that.
Good for you.
That was 100 pounds ago?
So, by Bill's definition, a small person.
Yeah. The thing that makes me laugh is a lot of
Yes.
people in here ask me, like, well, why don't you just go buy a new belt? And it's like, I thought about it. Like, A4s are available.
Nah, there's no way.
But this one's got
I would.
character. It's
I
got
only
the
did that
Fred's
one
font.
time, and I'm going to be honest, I did not like doing it, but I did it because Hoist Gracie signed my brown belt, and I didn't want to keep wearing it and have it wear off. And so I bought a new belt for after
That's
that.
a little different.
So, I want to say like a year ago, I was on a martial arts forum, as I often am.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
I saw a person put on a post in there about how they had a black belt in karate that they've had for like 4 or 5 years, and they left it in their car in like a bag, and somebody robbed their car, took the whole bag, right? And like it had been all weathered and beaten down and stuff like that. And he was legitimately posting online, when I buy my new black belt, what should I do to weather it to make it look like an old black belt? And I'm just like, I can't imagine caring. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody walks up and they're like, you don't look like you've been a black belt for 5 years, be like, oh, well, this is a new one.
So I'm actually more
and
like
be
Robbie.
done.
I'm more like Robbie on this one. When I thought I lost my blue belt, it was
Probably
gone for
died.
about 24 hours. I did not sleep.
Right.
I wanted that fucking thing back so bad.
I remember I got heated for you. You posted on there, and you're like, did someone accidentally take my thing? I was like, did someone steal your shit? I was like, that is fucked up. Like,
I'm sitting at home cleaning my guns, I'm ready to go.
I pictured like this weathered black belt, and you're like, someone stole it. I'd be like, oh my god, no!
Yeah.
All that matte,
But,
like it makes my hands cringe. Like,
Because you
no.
can't fake it.
No.
Like the idea of re-weathering
No,
the black
exactly,
belt
like-
appalls me.
Could you imagine the conversation of like coming into class and somebody being like, "Did you sandpaper that?" And then be like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like,
You admit it. You own up to it.
Yeah, you have to.
Why?
I mean, if you sandpapered it, you have to admit it.
okay.
like if they can tell, you've
if you're
already
like,
done
hey,
it.
yeah, my belt got stolen, I'm trying to fill the hole in
That's
my
a really
heart.
stiff belt for how beaten up it is.
Here's a funny story about that. Though. My black belt's starting to look pretty tattered.
Yeah, it's looking good.
I've had it for a while now, and
As long as I've known you.
Yeah, has it been? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was at a different academy,
Okay.
and I was rolling this brand new blue belt or brand new black belt. I mean, and he was really good. Like I felt it was pretty evenly matched and
Yeah.
everything. And like we stop, we're high five, we're talking about moves, and he looks down at my belt and he goes, "So is that what mine's going to look like in a couple years?" It was so funny though, because mine's getting to the point where like there's kind of some strings hanging off of it, and the red bar's starting to wear off. Where you can see the black underneath that, and
It's crazy when the belt starts changing colors.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like watching people like who is it? Tim's purple belt starting to look blue. I was
Or
like,
Tony's looking gray.
Yeah, Tony's got a
Tony's
gray
black
belt.
belt. It looks
Yeah,
gray.
he's a gray belt.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
over
he's
here.
getting ready for his 3rd degree next year,
Is he?
man.
Professor
Full
Rinaldi.
Professor.
Man,
That's crazy.
What's the difference with that? The full professor, does that mean he can start?
So in the Pedro Sauer Association, this is different in every association. I mean, in like under Hoyler, after a year of being a black belt, you get 2 stripes on your, like the professor stripes. They call them professor stripes. Under Pedro, you get those as long as you're running an academy. So like I automatically got those because I have my own academy. It just says that I'm a head instructor with academy. Like it doesn't mean that I'm a professor though. Some of them you have to be a 2nd degree black belt. Some of them you have to be a 1st degree black belt. So really there's no consistency in it.
So 3rd degree is the one that can give,
in
can promote.
Pedro Sauer's association at 3rd degree black belt, you then, with his permission, have the right to promote black belts.
Cool.
And you know that's about 9.5, 10 years of being a black belt.
Yeah, it's crazy.
10 years to black, 10 years to 3rd degree, and now you can promote black belts.
You're a double black.
Yeah.
20 years. It's wild.
Yeah,
that's like on average, right?
It's funny because like it's getting to the point where, and don't get me wrong, I've never met a black belt who's a pushover.
Nah.
Like ever.
Never.
But it's getting to the point where like some black belts,
Well, it could have been a brown belt.
like, you know, Ed was you were asking me one day, we were talking about a black belt from somewhere, and you were like, is he good? I was like, yeah, he's pretty good. And you're like, yeah, but I mean, like, is he good? And I was like, I don't understand your question. I go, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
And I'm like, are you asking if he could beat you? And you're like, well, I guess I assume he can. I go, well, then what are you asking? You're like, can you beat him? And I was like, oh, yeah. That's not hard. I've trained with the guy too long.
Funny thing about that is you're my standard.
Yeah, well, that's
so
get a better standard.
You're like the average black belt. Anybody better than you, I think they're great. Anybody not as good as you, I'm like, oh well, they need to step their game up. You know what I mean? Like, you're my standard.
That's probably a good point.
You're my standard bearer.
Very true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. There's like, I just look at it from like a self.
You're my standard.
That's funny.
The self-defense and everything, like when we do in here, it's funny to watch you, even rolling you, like come up and be like, "What's up, Bill? I haven't rolled you in a while, you little punk bitch. What's up?" And then you just destroy me like 100% over.
When's the last time I just destroyed you? You make it sound like I don't let you do anything.
Yeah, I think it was probably like the last time I let you work too, where I was like, "I got you right where I want you, bitch," and then I just get destroyed.
Well, when you do that mid-roll, it's a good way to get tapped. But
here's a little trick.
I love
the more you call people bitch mid-roll, directly proportional to the way they respond.
It's so fun though. People ask me the same thing during seminars. Like, why do you talk shit to the instructor? And it's like, because then I don't have to wait in a line to roll them.
Right.
Yeah, because they want to roll me first.
Yeah, they'll be like, this guy over here was talking shit this whole 3 hours. I'm going to beat him up. And I'm like, cool, I get to roll first.
That is funny. Remember, Cesar rolled me first.
Yeah,
when you talked,
because you kept talking all that shit about.
Well,
me.
no, you talked all that shit in my name for me.
Yeah, I sometimes write checks for other people.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes.
And I had to cash it.
I would say it's the defining characteristic of your teaching style.
Yeah, it is. Super funny. Walk up and be. I did the whole time too. You had a back injury too, and I was like, Cesar, Ed says he can stomp you.
And then he immediately flying triangle.
Immediately.
Fucking immediately. And I'm holding this weight with my shitty back, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. I laid in a hot tub for like 6 hours after that, trying to loosen my back up.
That was funny.
It was hilarious. In retrospect, I wouldn't change it.
I feel like this is the first time I didn't even talk shit to the instructor yet. Like, Greg did it for me. He just, like, called it out. I was like, oh, cool, David Porter's coming. I finally get to meet you. Because we've just been BSing, like, the last few months. He always, like, what did he say?
I don't know.
He'll like our videos, and then you're like, what did he say? He's like, he loves it. Like, you guys, like, he loves your videos, but it's just, like, a bunch of useless shit.
I don't know what we're talking. Oh, yeah.
It just makes me
that's no. What he said was
like wild stuff.
So what David said specifically about your Instagram videos. So you are at Big Red Monster.
Big Red Machine.
Big Red Machine. Big Red Monster might bring up something inappropriate. Big Red Machine is your Instagram handle, and what like if you go through it, there it's like a montage of you either flexing or like muddling your way through a bunch of flows, right?
Sitting in his car.
Selfie. That's the first selfie not on a toilet forever.
Wow. But anyway, or like muddling your way through, a series of moves, right?
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say muddling. Some of them look fine.
Yeah, they look.
But like some of them are,
I said muddling.
like from the perspective of, depending on your perspective, some of them are unnecessary jujitsu, like things that
Highlight reelsy kind of
highlight reelsy. Yeah,
They're
that's
fun.
like that you're probably never going to hit in real life. And like, but what he said specifically was he loves seeing that because it means you're playing with jujitsu. You're like, you're out there, you're exploring movement, and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's a lot of fun. I like seeing some of the random stuff on Instagram and being like, and bookmarked, and we're going to do this in jiu-jitsu. One of them, I tried to do that. You roll over the person's back and get them with an armbar, and I face planted with Mr. August, Nate August, and I was like, that's not going on video, and just kind of stood up, and then, yeah, I ended up kicking Nate in the face, and I had to pay for it.
That's funny.
It was bad.
All right, guys. Well, I mean, do we have any more major topics?
I don't think so.
We've been prattling on for about an hour now, so it's probably about time to wrap it up.
Couple interruptions, a phone call, keeping it professional.
Keeping it real, man. It's what we do. So for anybody who's wondering, we are running into some snags with the video. We bought a new camera, so we're gonna get that going and try to get that going.
Got a whole
But
set.
if you're wondering why like there was no video on YouTube this week, that's why. So we'll be going back to the kind of the audio YouTube version for a little bit, but the video will come back. We're probably going to do 1 video per month and 3 audios, or you know, just 1 video per month, because I want to add some real quality content to it, be able to put stuff in the background, you know, like really do it up so it looks nice and you actually want to sit there and watch it rather than just seeing me and Ed stare at each other and talk. So that's kind of what's going on with that. Listen, Kendall, Robbie, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Yeah, and Ed, if someone wants to get a hold of us, how can they do that?
I recommend blackbelttips.com, Black Belt Tips on Facebook, blackbelttips@gmail.com, and
I am at Top Level GJJ on the Twitter.
Yes, sir.
And you are
at Eddie Jiu-Jitsu 33.
We'll get him this millennial lingo. Don't worry. Don't worry, Robbie.
What is that for? Instagram or you on Twitter?
Yeah.
When are you going to get Instagram?
Oh, I'm on Instagram too. I always forget my handle on that.
Yeah.
Let me check it out.
Top Level Jiu-Jitsu.
Is that what I am?
Yeah.
All right.
Robbie knows.
I send you everything.
I'm at Top Level Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. I actually have a badass Instagram. If you don't,
I love it.
If you don't mind me saying so myself, my Instagram's pretty awesome. I'm followed by a lot of cool people. Just because like all I do is highlight everybody around me. You will rarely see me do anything on Instagram. It's usually like videos and pictures of like all you guys doing stuff. And I think that's
post some of the stuff. I love seeing that. One day you posted that mount with the
no. That's special shit. That was
awesome.
It was a
Proprietary.
spinning stack pass to a spinning armbar.
Yeah, I don't even know what it was. I was like, that was clean. That was legit.
But it was every bit as useful as the shit that you put up there sometimes. For your like that's never gonna happen. It might actually.
Bullshit.
I might have pulled
Done
that
it
off.
to me.
He's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
fucking hitting that on me,
But Bill
Bill.
moves against real people.
So Kendall
Yeah,
went
I'm
there.
pretty sure you've hit me with that.
So there that's what I would call like a 2 below series. Like I'm gonna hit that on people who are like 2 belt ranks below me.
Okay,
About right. Blue.
fair enough.
You know,
I know
like,
exactly.
probably
what
not
you're
going to
talking about.
happen to Nate or Joe. You know what I mean?
I'm glad we have a term for that now.
Yeah.
It did happen to Nate. I talked so much shit.
Pedro coined that term for me.
Okay.
Pedro
2
Sauer.
below?
He says that there's moves that he calls 2 below moves, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but you're not hitting that on anybody that's like not.
So what's 2 below Pedro, like the red white
a
belt?
6-degree black belt?
Yeah.
He's
That's
like,
like
you
a
know, this
guy
is one of those
just
crappy
getting the
moves.
coral belt.
I can't hit you with this unless you're a 6 degree or below. You know what? I'll learn it. It's good enough for me.
Good enough. Turns out, sir, you're the only coral
That
belt
means-
I'm gonna ever roll, probably.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and everyone else, thanks for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, and however you do that, subscribe and download us on iTunes and Google Play. Thanks a lot. You guys all have a great day. We're out.